Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering how to make money writing books. It's awesome to imagine yourself making money from your book. And a lot of people think it's all about selling as many copies as you can and just the quantity play. I want you to rethink that. I want you to rethink everything you think about making money from your book, because it's not about the book. It's about everything else surrounding and outside of that book. But it's about inside of the book too. By the end of this video, you will learn how to connect your book to your sales funnel, how to attract the right readers, and why you're the perfect person to share this message. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. So many people, when they think about making money from their book, they think about book sales. You know, and they go on Amazon Author Central every Friday and they think about how much money they can make from each book they sell. But here's the problem with that strategy. You know, I've worked on national bestsellers that have sold 12,000 copies in a week. It's an amazing thing. It's the best. It's a great thing when your book is really resonating and finding its audience, and you now see the numbers spiking. That happened to my friend Jonathan Stanley with his book, Purposeful Performance. But how much money are you making on each book sold? Maybe $2, maybe $3. It really depends. And even when you self-publish, there's a lot of money that gets taken out during the process. This isn't as simple as just numbers. And there's also time that's spent waiting for the money to pay out. Maybe it's 45, 90 days, maybe it's longer than that. It really depends. You know, so you're thinking about it in terms of $2 or $3 per book sold. So if you sell 12,000 copies of your book in a week, you know, maybe you make $25,000 off of those book sales. Maybe you make $50,000 off of those book sales, which is not a bad amount of money. You know, I'd be excited and proud if I was making that much money in book revenue from book sales. I'm not sneezing at that. That's not a negative thing. But I want you to think about it in these terms instead. Instead of 12,000 books sold, how about one client? How about attracting and signing one client, from turning one lead into a client? And how much money can you charge them for your high-value services? Maybe you're charging them $50,000, $75,000, $100,000. You can make more money on one book sold if you put it in the hands of the right person than you can from selling 10,000 books. Think about that. If you don't have the right call to action, and if you don't have a book that connects fully and completely to your sales funnel, that gives a clear understanding of what the reader can do when they're done working with you, you know, what the next steps look like, how they can carry forward, you're never going to see the revenue potential realized for your book. It's always going to be this thing that you hope happens, but never happens. I've worked on books like that, and it's always disappointing, where the author has big expectations for their book, and the book doesn't sell quite as well as they thought it was going to. The author has some really big expectations for the book and has big numbers attached to it, and then for whatever reason, the book doesn't sell as many copies as anticipated, which is pretty common. Most books don't sell 500 copies. Even fewer sell 1,000. So think about that for a second. Your book is probably not going to get as many readers as you think it will, and you won't get as much money from each book sold as you think you will. So you need to really think about the other ways in which your book can create value potential for you. That's not to discourage you from writing your book. There's still great opportunities in revenue potential for your book, but they come in different ways. They come through the lead generation. They come through speaking engagements. You know, if you can get $10,000 every time you give a public speech to an interest group, and you end up doing that 4 or 5 times, all right, now we're cooking. You know, so it's about thinking about the other ways that your book can help you accomplish your goals, your revenue goals, your sales goals, your funnel goals, everything. You know, how does this book fit into your bigger picture, and how does it help you sell the things that you do well? But in order to be successful with converting readers into leads, into clients, you need to attract the right audience for your book. You need to put the book in the right people's hands. A lot of times people make the volume play and don't even hit the right audience. A lot of authors don't really understand who their reader is, and then when the book comes out, they don't know who to market to. It's too big. Authors will sometimes say my book is for everybody, which means it's for nobody. No book is for everybody. Please don't think that about your book. You want to burrow deeper. You want to think about who specifically is the perfect person to read your book. That's your audience right there. Burrow as deep as you can on those specific audiences, those specific people that you're focused on. Where are they congregating? What media are they consuming? How can you promote your book to get into their space, to get visible in their world? You want them to know about your book, and you want them to want to buy your book. We've all been there where, you see something bubbling up and you see a social media post about it, or you see a news article about it, or you hear somebody talking about it. And it's like this immediate thing where this is the perfect book for you. You want that. You want that with however many people are interested in reading this book. It's not a volume play. It's a quality leads play. It's a quality opportunities play. Understanding your audience is so important, but another thing that really matters is understanding why you are the perfect person to share this message. What makes you unique or different or special? What makes you the right person that someone's going to want to learn from? I think a lot of times authors sell themselves short. They really look down on or feel insecure about their qualifications or why they're the right person to share this message. Your reasons for wanting to write the book and for being an expert in the space can be very personal, or they can be career-oriented. You may be interested in climbing your career. Whatever the case may be, it's important to understand what makes you the perfect person to share this message. Because if you can't explain that, it's going to be really tough for readers to want to care and pay attention to what you're saying, You should have something new or different to say. Otherwise, why are you saying it at all? You really need to dig deep on what makes you uniquely qualified to write this book. And maybe it's personal experiences, maybe it's career experience, maybe it's research. It doesn't necessarily need to be up close and personal, but there needs to be a reason why you're writing this book. And you need to be very clear about that. Because by doing so, you can then establish yourself as a thought leader in this space. You're somebody to pay attention to. When you're somebody to pay attention to, doors open, opportunities emerge, speaking engagements, media requests, job opportunities, things happen, things fall into place. If you can't explain why you're the right person to share this message and write this book, you're missing opportunities. As you're writing this book or coming forward with this book, I want you to think about the doors it's going to open for you and map out and orchestrate that plan. Do you want to use this book for speaking engagements? If so, great. What kind of groups can you speak to? If you are interested in establishing yourself as a thought leader and doing interviews, great. What kind of interviews are you going to do? Position yourself for success through the book. The book is an entryway, the book is a means, the book is your key to unlocking untold potential. But it really requires you to write the right book to the right people. If you don't write the right book to the right people, those doors aren't going to open the way you want them to. Maybe they send you somewhere else. Maybe they don't send you anywhere at all. You really need to understand who you're writing the book for and really understand what you want to accomplish. Just be real about it to yourself. It's not like you need to go out there telling everybody, like, I wrote the book to get more speaking engagements. But you need to be honest with yourself about what you want to accomplish. If you want to attract more leads for your business, put that in your book. Be honest about it. I wrote this book not only to inform you and inspire you, but potentially to start a conversation, start a dialogue about collaborating together. I'm always interested in, connecting with new people. Maybe there's a good reason why we could work together. Plant that seed in the reader's mind of, I want to work with you and maybe we could work together. Plant the seed in the reader's mind of what you want to accomplish, if it's speaking engagements, if it's interview requests. If those are your goals, you want to tell people that, so when they find you, you've already mapped out the plan. Oh yeah, I can do interviews. I can go on your podcast and talk about it. I can go to your group and give a speech on a different topic. By putting those things out in the universe and telling people what your plans are, it really helps, I think, speak it into practice, speak it into reality, You're living your truth and you're being completely honest with what you want to accomplish with it. I think it's great that you're using this book as a revenue generator, and books can be great at revenue generators. But again, you really need to rethink all of the ways that revenue could be generated. You need to rethink the volume play, that this isn't just about selling as many copies as I can, but about, the funnel underneath the book that connects to these other things. And really starting a journey with the reader. You need to give them a reason to want to keep doing things with you, to collaborate and work together. If you write a bad book, they're going to say, well, oh well, I mean, it's too bad. And they go find somebody else. I don't think they're a good fit. You want them to be so wowed and empowered by what you're doing and putting out there that they can't think of anything else but to work with you. That they can't even think of any other option but yes. They're saying yes, and they're interested in meeting with you, and they're interested in, starting a journey together. That's what you want out of this book, and you need to approach it from that perspective. In that spirit, if you're interested in learning more about how to make money writing books, I would love for you to schedule a call with me, because I'm always interested in meeting new people that I can collaborate with. I offer 3 tiers of service to people, to authors that are interested in collaborating with me. And I'm just interested in meeting people. I want to find out what your story is. I want to find out what book you're writing. And I want to find out if maybe there's a path forward. If not, I'd love to just give you some insights and guidance. But maybe there's a path forward to collaborating and working together, and I'd love to explore that. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.